Namaskar and good evening. Earlier, we have seen what is a balance sheet, how balance sheets are to be analyzed. Now, there we have seen assets is equal to liabilities plus shareholders' equity. On the one side of the balance sheet, first shareholders' equity, then liabilities are there. On the other side, you have got assets. Assets are fixed assets, long-term investments. Fixed assets are land, buildings, plant and machinery, vehicles, furniture, fixtures, etc. But after reducing depreciation annually. Then comes after fixed assets, long-term investments in stocks of other companies, bonds of other companies, other long-term investments in real estate, etc. So that fixed assets, long-term investments, then current assets, cash equivalent, inventory, accounts receivable, prepaid expenses, etc. So on the one side you have assets, fixed assets, long-term investments and current assets. On the other side you have liabilities. Liabilities first and foremost is shareholders' equity. Then comes long-term liabilities like bank loans, mortgages and other long-term debts. Then comes current liabilities. So shareholders' equity, long-term liabilities and current liabilities. Current liabilities are what are to be paid within 1 year. Short-term debt, accounts payable, that is under creditors, and then current portion of long-term debt. Then we saw three types of analysis are there. Vertical analysis, where you find out the percentages of each individual item in the total. And then horizontal analysis, you plot out several periods figures and then bring out the differences. So that is horizontal analysis. Vertical analysis, horizontal analysis can be combined in a common size analysis where you give percentages on the total and also differences between various periods. And loss and final are ratios. Ratios are four types: efficiency ratios, liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, and profitability ratios. Four types of ratios. Now, in this session, we will see these four types of balance sheet ratios. Efficiency ratios measure the efficiency of a company against various parameters. Four types of efficiency ratios we will see: inventory turnover ratio, asset turnover ratio, receivable turnover ratio, payable turnover ratio. See, all of them are comparing against turnover. Turnover meaning differs, but inventory is compared with sales. Assets are compared with sales. Accounts receivables are compared with the sales. Payables are compared with sales. Then liquidity ratios, current ratio, quick ratio and cash ratio. Three ratios. Solvency ratios are again debt to equity ratio, debt coverage or interest coverage ratio, debt to asset ratio. Then profitability ratios, return on equity, return on assets, return on capital employed. We'll see all these things. So efficiency ratio means something is compared with some other thing. Both are interrelated in some way or other. Inventory turnover ratio, asset turnover ratio, receivable turnover ratio and payable turnover ratio. Generally, the formula, if you look at that, output by input. You are inputting something, getting some output, the ratio of the output to the input. You can get it as a percentage or you can get it as a simple ratio. Now, efficiency, how do you increase in efficiency? See, output divided by input. Output is usually sales. So, either increase the sales or reduce the costs. As simple as that. Now, we'll go to each individual item. First is inventory turnover ratio. The formula is, I am not going to give too much details, but they are interesting, of course. But I will give you the basic. See, for an investor, this much is sufficient. Based on your interest, you can learn further also. Formula is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Now, why cost of goods sold and why not sales? See, inventory goes to first cost of goods sold and then only sales. See, inventory becomes saleable commodities. So, what is their cost? So, average inventory here, that is opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. For any period you take, for the year, for a month, whatever, if you take, average inventory is opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. That gives the average inventory. Then cost of goods sold. So that gives how many times the inventory is getting converted into cost of goods, sellable goods. So cost of goods, where is it available? It is available in the income statement, quarterly statement, profit and loss statement, etc. Then closing inventory and opening inventory both are available in the balance sheet. So the inventory turnover ratio, cost of goods sold by average inventory, measures the number of times the inventory sold or consumed in a given period. See, ultimately inventory only is becoming sales. Therefore, the inventory, how many times the inventory is becoming sales? That's the inventory turnover ratio. So, a good inventory turnover ratio is between 5 and 10. That shows the inventory is getting converted as finished goods for sale maybe once in 1 month to 2 months. If the ratio is too very low, that means a lot of inventory is idling for a long time. If the ratio is high, that means there is an efficient conversion of inventory into sales. So, this inventory turnover ratio is important in that way for us. Then asset turnover ratio. Here the formula is second ratio. Asset turnover ratio. All these are efficiency ratios, turnover ratios. Total sales by average assets. See, inventory was related to cost of goods sold, whereas assets are related to sales directly. Total sales by average assets. Average assets is again assets at the beginning plus assets at the end divided by 2. So, the asset turnover ratio shows how efficiently the assets are being used to produce the sales. So, again, this ratio also, asset turnover ratio also can be expressed as a ratio or as a percentage. Now, see, different sectors need different types of assets. Technologies vary, quantum of assets vary. So, this variation in assets, technologies, etc. Therefore, you have to compare assets with turnover in the same sector. That indicates the efficiency of one company over the other in the same sector. Between the sectors, technologies vary, asset types vary. So, don't compare between the sectors. Same sector, different companies. The next one is accounts receivable turnover ratio. Accounts receivable is also known as sundry debtors. So, sundry debtors turnover ratio or accounts receivable turnover ratio. Accounts receivable means debtors. So, how the debtors are getting converted into net sales. So, here net sales divided by average accounts receivable. Net sales means, again net sales let us define. See, sales on credit. The cash sales are not taken here. Sales on credit minus sales returns. You know, some sales are returned back as defective. And then sales discounts, all these are reduced. Net sales only is taken. Net sales divided by average accounts receivable, beginning accounts receivable plus ending accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is also known as sundry debtors. So accounts receivable turnover ratio, let us say it is 7 or 8, something like that. How do, what conclusions you take from that? Now you have to compare it again with the companies in the same sector. Don't compare with other sectors. Practices vary. Therefore, suppose the average in a particular sector is 10 and here the ratio is just 7.8. So, the assets are, the accounts receivable are not getting converted efficiently into sales. Suppose it is 12. Average for the sector is 10. A particular company has the 12 ratio. Accounts receivable are getting converted more frequently into sales. So, more efficient. It's easy to interpret the ratios, but there should be a comparison. Then accounts payable turnover ratio. See, accounts payable are sundry creditors turnover ratio. Here, turnover means purchases. Don't interpret it as sales. See, creditors, you get from somebody on credit. So, you are purchasing from him. Therefore, he becomes a creditor to you, you become a debtor. So, sundry creditors turnover ratio. Here, turnover means purchases. Please understand the difference. Whereas for inventory, it was cost of goods sold. Turnover means. For assets, accounts receivable, etc., it is sales. Now, for accounts payable, it is purchases. It's a ratio. Purchases divided by accounts payable. Accounts payable are otherwise known as sundry creditors. Total purchases divided by average accounts payable. Average accounts payable means beginning accounts payable plus ending accounts payable. All are available in balance sheet. Total purchase is available in the income statement. So, a higher accounts payable means you are paying in a shorter time. Company is paying in a shorter time. A lower ratio means you are paying in a longer time. Please remember that. It depends upon the arrangement between your creditors and you, generally speaking. But if you are paying yearly, you will gain the confidence of your creditors who are giving you the raw material, etc. If you are paying late, they may be unwilling to supply you the material. That also is there. But if your creditworthiness is greater, they may allow you more time. Both are there. So, this ratio has to be used with caution. So these are efficiency ratios. Now we will go to liquidity ratios. Liquidity ratios means how much cash is readily available to pay our bills. These are called liquidity ratios. 3 ratios are generally used. Current ratio, quick ratio. Quick ratio is also called as acid test ratio and then cash ratio. Current ratio means current asset divided by current liability. What are current assets? Current assets are those which can be converted into cash within 1 year. And what are current liabilities? They are obligations which should be paid within 1 year. So, liquidity is a measure for your ability to pay within that 1 year comfortably. As a general rule, current assets by current liabilities, that ratio should yield you more than 1. So, current ratio below 1 indicates that the liabilities are more and assets are less. Current assets by current liabilities. If liabilities are more, the ratio is less. So, assets should be more. So, which assets? Current assets. If current assets divided by current liabilities is more than 1, preferably more than 1.5, then current ratio is a comfortable ratio. Please remember this. Some people have got current ratio 2, 3 also. That's okay. In technology companies, debt is either not there or very low. So current assets divided by current liabilities. Now current assets we have seen cash and cash equivalents, marketable securities, accounts receivables, inventories. These are the current assets. Current liabilities are short-term debt payable within 1 year, accounts payable, sundry creditors payable within 1 year, accrued liabilities and other small debts payable within 1 year, current portion of long-term debts. This is also one item. Long-term debt is there. How much you have to pay during the current year? That is to be paid from the current assets. So current assets by current liabilities is current ratio. Then quick ratio or acid test ratio is quick assets. Quick assets includes all current assets except inventory. Inventory is not to be sold outside for paying in the current liabilities. The inventory is invented to produce goods sellable. So if you omit the inventory, it becomes quick assets. So this quick ratio is equal to quick assets divided by current assets. The last and final is cash ratio. That is, you don't take anything else other than cash plus cash equivalents divided by current liabilities. So that also, if it is 1 and more, it's very good. Generally, people are giving current ratio only. If it is above 1.5, it is good. So the next one is solvency ratios. Solvency means talks about who is going to make you insolvent. Long-term debtors only, not short-term debtors. So here we are generally comparing long-term debt, but some people compare total debt. How to pay the total debt. So solvency ratio indicates your ability to pay the long-term liabilities and indicates your long-term financial health. So here we are comparing debt with equity, debt-equity ratio, debt-asset ratio, and debt or interest service coverage ratio, 3 ratios. So debt-equity ratio formula is total liabilities or total debt divided by shareholders' equity. So debt-equity ratio. So here, if the debt is more, the ratio will be higher. Here, the ratio should be less, should be 0.5, something like that. Debt should be less, equity should be more, debt-equity ratio. If the debt-equity ratio is, here also again comparison is within the sector. But generally speaking, the debt-equity ratio should be less than 1. Debt should be less, equity should be more. Debt-equity, if they are equal, 1. In some cases, debt may be going up to 2 also. That depends upon the type of sector. Then interest service coverage ratio or debt service coverage ratio. The next one. Formula is EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. See, interest is payable here. Therefore, you go upwards. Earnings before that interest and taxes. That you take. That's called a net operating income. Divided by the total amount of principal and interest payments required to be made within the given period. So, earnings divided by payable amounts. Here also the same thing. Earnings are there. How much earnings are there? How much payable amounts are there? That is the principal payable amount plus interest payable amount is the denominator. Numerator is EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. From that only you are going to pay the interest. And also whatever is payable in the principal. So as a rule, it should be 2 or higher. See, the interest rate, twice that interest rate you should be able to earn at least. Your EBIT should be at least double or more than that compared to the payable amounts. So that is debt service coverage ratio, interest service coverage ratio. Many people are having 2, 3, etc. Where that is less, the company is heading for trouble. Remember Anil Ambani, remember Kishore Biyani. They took debt which is not pay, which they cannot pay. That's why they suffered. Otherwise they are efficient. Then debt to assets ratio. Total debt divided by total assets. Some people take long-term plus short-term debt divided by long-term plus short-term assets. Total debt divided by total assets. So how are you financing your assets? So that's what it shows. So generally, if a company has got 0.4 or something like that here, that shows the balance amount. Here, debt is taken and assets are taken, but shareholders' equity is not taken. Total debt divided by total assets. Now, shareholders' equity is omitted. So, therefore, this ratio shows how much assets have been financed by debt. Balance assets have been financed by equity. Remember that. Now, profitability ratios. For investors, profitability ratios are also very, very important. First is return on equity. The formula is net profit divided by shareholders' equity. How much net profit are you earning for paying dividend, etc. to the shareholders' equity? See, after paying dividend also, the remaining amount goes as retained earnings. So, return on equity must be sufficiently high as far as see, if you have to get dividend, this ratio is important. Return on equity, net profit divided by, here it is not EBIT, EBITDA, etc. It is final net profit available for paying dividend and retained earnings, etc. So that is return on equity. Generally, return on equity should be rising. Please remember that. If return on equity is falling, there is a danger mark. Then return on assets. See, you must be able to pay the equity holders, right? But on the assets that you have created out of shareholders' equity plus debt, that is total assets, you should earn sufficient amount as net profits. Must be much more than interest rate. As simple as that. Cost of assets is there, cost of capital. So it should be, net profit should be much more than that. The last one that we are going to see is return on capital employed. The formula for return on capital employed is here EBIT. Earnings before interest and taxes divided by capital employed. Capital employed here means total assets minus current liabilities. So ROEC is calculated like this. A higher ROCE means the companies you are turning into a lot of profit. A higher ROCE. EBIT is more. Capital employed is less. EBIT is more means you are getting lot of profit. There is another thing called ROI, return on investment. That's slightly different. You see, return on investment, approximately the calculation is similar, but here return on investment can be calculated for an individual product or an individual project also. Before a project is implemented, they prepare a project estimate. There, the ROI, return on investment, should be called, not ROCE there. ROCE is for the company, ROI is for the product or the project. Please remember all these things. Depending upon your interest, you can go deeper into it. It's available in various websites on the net and also on YouTube. If all of you need, I can give you much more than this also after some more time. Now the third quarter results will start coming from maybe already started, but now minor ones are coming. Major ones will start from 10th onwards. So we will focus on the company results. But remember these things. I will give you a few more relating to income statement later on before the results start coming, and then we will go for results. Results are very, very important for every investor. Focus on them, but learn these basics. Thank you for listening. I will be back with you with another set of very good theoretical basis on income statement, etc. Thank you.